Welcome back to All Things Love. Shout out to all of you beautiful, amazing people. Thank you so kindly for returning to this channel. So, this particular story that I'm going to tap on today, I call it Sneaking and Creeping, or When Sneaking and Creeping Costs You Your Life. Haven't you been hearing so many stories where, the old saying, what happens in the dark comes to the light? Well, it seems like a lot of people, all the creeping and all of the sneaking they've been doing is coming out, man. And it's coming out and they're going out bad. Now, one of the stories is about a coach, not just any coach, a married coach. This man had a wife and had his own family, but he decides to creep over to, the story says, I believe he was 39, 40 something. The young lady, 21. He decides to creep over to her house, her apartment that she shared with her live-in fiance or boyfriend. And like some people may have speculated that maybe this guy was tipped off because he was at work, working long hours to do his part. And for some reason, he decides to come home early. Like I said, someone could have tipped him off and said, look, man, you might want to go home. You might want to go home. Somebody, you never know. When you're living in an apartment, you never know who is watching your house. While you sneaking and creeping over there, you don't know who watching your house. So the story goes that he goes in there, he sees them in the act, and imagine. Now, some people say it was a crime of passion where he snapped. But you know what I find ironic about these stories here is that he popped off on the guy who was in his home with his woman, but he didn't have that same energy for her. I mean, the guy is there because she brought him there, but he didn't do anything to her. But now he's going to end up going to prison. And I also heard someone else made a suggestion seemed like she should take credit in that. Instead of him taking this charge, which he clearly acted alone, but she had the guy there. So shouldn't she take some responsibility for that? I tell you, if they start passing laws for that, then people wouldn't be so quick to play with your feelings like that, because she knew she had a man. She knew that she was living with her man. So you mean to tell me y'all couldn't go get a room? So let's talk about the married man. You mean to tell me you was lusting out for her? You were so, and I guarantee you this was not his first time. You know how folks do stuff so much that they get away with it till they feel like, they're not going to ever be caught. Man, imagine that. Imagine you in the act and this woman who you in here with, her man comes home. You ain't going to be able to talk to him. Man, it's like when creeping and sneaking cost you your life. And so that man's wife and his children, he left his wife and his children to deal with the humiliation that he left them because of his pride and his ego. Once again, I guarantee you that wasn't the first time he did that. That was just the last time he got caught, and it cost him his life. There's another story where, because it's going to bring it back, it's like, it was one story where this woman, got married to this man. I think they were married maybe 5 years. And she noticed that he started moving around where she suspected that he was cheating on her. And so she found out that he had another woman he was messing with, but he would not leave the woman because she confronted him and he didn't want to leave her alone. So she could have left her husband. Look, if you with your husband and you're going to either learn to deal with it or you're going to get out the way. And so she had a conversation with her husband, but her husband wasn't willing to leave the mistress alone. So the story goes on to say that she decides to go to the mistress's house. Now, to give you a little bit idea of how deep he was in with the mistress, the story goes on to say that he had a key to the mistress' house and she got the key. So obviously, your husband telling you, all right, let me finish. So the story goes on. She goes to the mistress' house, and the mistress has door cameras, so she's seeing her. She parks his car in the back, and she's using the key to come in. And so she's seeing her through this door cam. And so the story goes that she popped off one as a warning. And so instead of her taking that warning, y'all, she kept on coming in till she used that key and she got in there. And then she had to pop off again. And so it landed that time. And that same old woman, even though that was her husband, she ran away, drove herself away, flagged down the police, and they took her to the hospital where she later passed, y'all. Now I seen some folks in the comment section and some folks saying stuff like, well, somebody started reading her history and her past, and she had been known to go in, she had a little record. And so most people was trying to say, well, that, she shouldn't have been able to, she shouldn't have had a weapon. They was trying to use she's a convicted felon. So, let's penalize her for that. But no. Once again, the first story I told you about, when the guy came home and found his girlfriend in the house with the man, he didn't pop off on the girlfriend. He popped off on the man, see? And now this wife, even though she talked to her husband about this woman, her husband still didn't want to leave. Instead of her leaving, she decides to go to the woman's house. So whether she was a convicted felon or not, she still deserves to protect herself. Because at the end of the day, that woman don't owe you nothing. Your husband was the problem. So it just seemed like these men are going out where they are creeping and sneaking till it's costing them their lives, because they're not stopping until they're being stopped one way or another. It's done got bad out here with these relationships. It's like most of these people going to start finding out who they thought that they was with is nothing like they thought they were. It's like people are going through so much. They're risking so much for so little. It's like the people left behind to deal with, your indiscretions, your lust. Now your family has to know that their dad is not there to provide for them because they was creeping over here with this young woman who got a man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what you got a wife for. I mean, I thought that's what you got married for. But we in these times when some people, they just feel like they just have to have it. But once again, the saying say, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. I feel like what's happening is it's going to start causing people who ordinarily do creeping things and risk a lot, endanger you. It's going to be too dangerous for folks to do that now, or you're just going to hear more and more stories about someone making the wrong decision when they've been warned time and time again. So once again, this is All Things Love. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below about creeping and sneaking. Is it worth your life? Creeping and sneaking, y'all, imagine that. Imagine, I'm talking about imagining man doing what he was doing. I'm talking about just really, because I guarantee you it was the thrill of the sneaking and the creeping, man, that he was creeping. And little do he know he had death on him. Wow. Oof. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll talk to you on the next one.